Okay, I'm just going to take you through the nailing procedure for a blue Pegasus shoe. We get quite a few questions from people who can trim themselves but maybe a little bit nervous about nailing. Now there's no real mystery to nailing. If you can use a hammer and drive a nail into a piece of wood, you can do it into a hoof. You just got to make sure of a couple of things that are pretty important so as you're not to damage the horse at all. So first thing I'll take you through is the nail. Now this is an E-head nail. These are a pretty good one to start with because they've got a pretty solid shank, and they're actually recommended for the blue Pegasus shoes. They're a lot easier to drive than a BH nail when you're learning, basically because the heads are basically the same size or the same shape on each side, and it's got a pretty heavy shaft and they're a lot harder to bend. Now you'll notice on every nail there's a bevel on the tip. Now the bevel on the tip is there for a reason, and the reason is to make sure that the nail drives in a particular direction. So you must make sure when you're going to drive a nail into a horse's hoof that the bevel is facing inside. Right, that's really, really important. Now with the bevel facing inside as you drive the nail will want to migrate outward. If you turn the nail around the wrong way and have the bevel on the outside, the nail's going to want to go in this way, which is very bad. You'll hit sensitive tissue, prick your horse, and end up with all kinds of problems. Another way to double check that you've got it around the right way is each nail manufacturer keeps a stamp on the head of each nail. This is a mustad nail. You'll see on the head there's an M, the mustad sign. Now the stamp is always on the same side as the bevel. So keep the stamp and the bevel to the inside and you'll be pretty safe. If you have it around the other way, you'll be in all kinds of trouble. So if we move on to where to put your nail, now I'm presuming that you're all well educated enough with the hoof to know what the different landmarks are. So all this area in here, the white and grey area, that's all sole, all sensitive tissue. Right, as you go toward the outside of the hoof, you come into the little groove there, and that's the white line. Past the white line, you've got your inner wall and then your outer wall, and there's a bit of a line in between the two walls. They call that the water line. I'll just grab my hammer, if you by chance just drive your nail into the outer wall of the hoof, all that will happen is it will split. So that's the outer wall. You'll see that that's just starting to split the hoof there because the outer wall just doesn't have the strength to hang on to the nail. So that's not where we want to put the nail. I'll just tidy up the hoof a little bit to show you a little bit clearer. Okay, so that'll show you a little bit clearer what we're talking about. So all this is sole, right? This white line is quite large. You can see the laminae coming around here. Now that's the white line, and then we've got the inner wall here, and then there's that little colour change towards the outer wall. So you can drive a nail into the inner wall relatively safely, but it will tend to want to make the hoof split longer term. So where we want to put the nail is into the white line. Right, so all the tissue in here is sole. The coloured part here is sole. Now that's all sensitive tissue, so you don't want to drive a nail anywhere inside here. It'll just the term is pricking or quicking your horse, and you'll make your horse very, very lame very, very fast, and it's a long recovery process from pricking a horse. So no matter what you do, you want to make sure you stay outside the edge of the sole. So where we want to drive the nail is into the white line. So the white line is basically the connective tissue between everything inside the hoof and the wall, and it's a very good place to give us the best grab when we drive a nail. So if you drive a nail into the outer wall, it's just going to split. If you drive it into the inner wall, yeah, you'll get a reasonable grab, but it'll tend to want to split as well. So the best place to drive your nails into the white line. So there's no reason to be scared about driving a nail into the white line because the white line's not sensitive tissue. Obviously on the inside of it is, but to the middle to the outside, it's not sensitive at all. And as we're driving the nail in an outward direction, you'll travel up the white line for a little bit, and then you'll start heading out, and the horse won't feel a thing. So make sure your bevel is to the inside, and your stamp to the inside, put it in the white line, a few taps like that, okay? You can see the horse is not objecting to that. Very simple stuff. That's where you put your nail into the white line. So if you know your hoof anatomy reasonably well, you'll know that the hoof wall doesn't really change in thickness from the bottom to the top. It's pretty much the same thickness all the way up. So what you want to do is drive your nail in a certain depth following the white line and bring it out through the walls once you've got a decent grab. And the best way to get a good grab is to drive in the white line. That'll give you best holding performance from nailing on any shoe, let alone the Blue Pegasus shoe. Okay, so now we've established where we want to actually drive our nail, which is into the white line, which you can see quite clearly there. Now, the best way to avoid any nasty accidents with the Blue Pegasus shoe is just grab a Nico pen or a Sharpie and mark your white line. So put a distinct black mark on your white line, and you'll be able to see that clear as a bell through the shoe, which gives you a great guide for your nailing. Okay. So that's the white line, marking the white line. So when you lift your shoe, put it on your hoof. I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but I can see that clearly. It's a black line through all my nail slots, so I know exactly where to drive my nail. Remembering that the white line is going to give us the best purchase possible for shoe hole. Now we've marked the white line, black Nico, so it's very clear. You can see it through the shoe. Alright. So once you place your shoe where you like it, choose a nail, make sure your bevel and your stamp is facing the inside. Place it over the white line in the shoe, a couple of gentle taps until you hit the white line. Okay. Now you need to pitch your nail ever so slightly. That is, you pitch your nail to the angle of the hoof wall you're driving into. That enables the nail to drive a reasonable distance in before it starts to curve out. If you just nail straight or too straight, you just don't get enough grab in the wall, and your shoe will just basically come off because it just can't. The outer wall on its own just can't hold on to the shoe. So again, with your hammer, just hold it nice and gently at the bottom of the handle, using the weight of the hammer's head, not the action of your arm, to drive in the nail. Okay, so nice and gentle, a few taps. You'll actually hear that nail coming out. I can hear that's out now. I can feel it with my finger. A couple of taps till it's level with the shoe, and then we want to wring the nail off. So wringing the nail off is just a matter of getting the fork of the back of the hammer, jiggling it slightly onto the nail head, giving it a twist, and the head of the nail pops off. Now that's important. Whether you wring it off or bend it over or whatever, don't leave the nail just poking out. Because if the horse pulls back, even if you're wearing chaps, the nail can just go straight through. Okay, so we'll show that again. Stamp and bevel on the inside. Okay, nail over the black line that we've put on the white line. Couple of taps, bit of a pitch, get it set into the white line, and then using the weight of the head of the hammer. Okay, and wring it off. Couple of jiggles on, bit of a twist, and that's the nail off. Easy as pie. Same process for the rest of your nails. When you come back further on the hoof, you've got a steeper wall, so you don't want to pitch your nail quite as much. Okay, so in the angle with the wall, you can hear that starting to come out. Okay, I can feel it there. Right, ring off the top, Same again on the other side. You can see the black mark you've made on the white line through the blue Pegasus shoe. A couple of taps to pick up the white line. Okay, you know you're in safe. Using the weight of the hammer, out she comes. Of course, this comes with practice. You're not going to be nailing perfectly first time you do it, but at least when you know where to drive it into the white line, you'll know that you're relatively safe and you'll get good bite. Again, bevel inside, stamp inside on the black line, pitch it a little bit, gentle taps using the weight of the hammer on your wrist. You can hear that's coming out, you can feel it there. Bring it off. Okay, I'll just change it up here. We've got a BH head nail, so you can see that they're slightly different in shank size and shank shape, right? Put the BH on the side, same deal, bit of a pitch. Out she comes, alright, easy as that. Okay, so now we've got the nails in, want to make sure we punch them down. Really important part with the blue Pegasus shoes. Got the tool, means you won't punch them too far, but you do really have to countersink them. It gives them a much better holding capacity because there's so much flex in the polyurethane shoe. It puts a lot of shear force on your nail head, so as the shoe wants to move around, it'll tend to want to shear the nails off. So really important to punch these down. All right. Just a couple of taps, drive them in. I like to give them a little bit of a clinch, just a little half bend. And this just saves any drama when you turn the hoof over the other way, that you might clench the nail back through. So we'll punch down nice and solid, got a half clench on the nail, and then we'll turn her over and do everything else from the top. Okay, so we're just going to take you through how to do the clenching. It's a different horse, different day from the first part of the video, but we've got our wrung off nails poking through the hoof wall here. Okay, now the depth you drive your nails is really up to you. I prefer to keep them a bit low. Put them a little bit higher on this horse just to avoid these nail holes, because a couple of little splits there, so I don't really want to get in the way of those this time round. So we're just going to cut off any extra bits there. You want to leave about 2 or 3 millimeters of nail hanging out. Any more is a bit of a waste, any less you won't get enough of a clench. So now what you want to do is get your rasp. You can use a gouge for this. It's a lot neater with a gouge, but I find the edge of the rasp is fine. I'm really not worried about what they look like once they go and step in mud and dirt and all that kind of stuff. So you just take the edge of your rasp, this side, just give it a little groove, just gently swiping underneath the tips of the nail there. And that just allows the clenches somewhere to sit in when you fold them over. So you get your clenching tool. I like to do it in a bit of a double motion, so a bit of a half bend, and then grab the tip, give it a good clench in, like so. A bit of a half bend, and then a good clench in. Same again with this one, a bit of a half bend, and then a good clench in. Hope you can see that. And when it comes time to tidying up your clenches, with a steel shoe, generally what you do is rasp those clenches all the way down to the hoof wall to make them nice and smooth. But with a polyurethane from Blue Pegasus, you've got to leave a fair bit more clinch there. If you don't leave enough clinch, the shear force on the nail will just basically wiggle the nail back out. So when you're tidying up the clench, you know, it's really just a quick buff like so, and that's about the end of the procedure. Just take off any dags, okay, just before you tidy up the rest of the hoof, the way it's sitting on the shoe, and before you tidy up the edge of the shoe. So leave a couple of millimetres extra hanging over on the shoe. Okay. And that's about that. That's about all you need to do there.